the fans can expect to come out and see?
Well, the renderings that I've seen, and they're obviously they've been made public. It's going to be a very intimate atmosphere. The seats will be right up next to the field, and the sideline seats will be covered. The end zone seats won't be, but it'll be much like what you'd see in Europe, where you're seeing the fans right on top of the action. And from our perspective, I know that when we went with our initial on sale for MLS, our first 5,000 tickets that sold out in less than 48 hours, we were getting a lot of people calling in that don't currently come to our Whitecaps matches at Swangard, but we're very excited about reminiscing about the old Empire site. So I think for us, this is, I think it provides a double opportunity. We'll be able to revisit the nostalgia that we had here in a great venue, and then we're able to move into a brand spanking new BC Place that will be configured to make it a very intimate soccer-specific atmosphere.
It's a place that has some great memories and nostalgic memories for you personally as well.
Absolutely, and I mean many memories. The first game here against San Jose Earthquakes, and probably the most vivid memory for me was our quarterfinal game against the LA Aztecs in 1979, and Johan Cruyff playing for them. We lost in LA. We had to come back here and win both matches. There were 32,000 people in the stadium. The television ban had been lifted. And I came out of the tunnel, and in fact, I'm starting to get goosebumps now. It was a magnificent feeling, and I actually felt that the crowd were willing us to win the game, and in fact, we did go on to win the regulation game and then win the mini game, and people had stayed around for hours after the game just chanting the Whitecaps name. So they were good days, but I'm actually convinced that better days are to come.
Now, next year you guys are still going to be at Swangard, but are you going to look to maybe place some matches here? Or?
Possibly. One of the problems with next year, well, not a problem, it's going to be great, is that the World Cup is taking place in July, and a lot of the Premier players will be playing with their countries at the World Cup. So as a result of that, they'll be taking breaks when their teams are on preseason. So unless the marquee players are playing with their club sides, it might be a year that we just simply look towards 2011 and being back in BC Place. But there always is that opportunity to entertain playing an exhibition game here.
Bobby, so the 2010 season you play in the new NASL at Swangard, and then you'd start when MLS starts when here?
MLS will start, the season starts around mid-March, so as to whether we kick off at home that weekend or whether we play on the road, that's still yet to be determined. But we will play a handful of games here. You heard David Plugmore talk about the fact that they have a end of July completion date for the renovated BC Place. I believe that there are some incentives in place to have that done sooner, and if in fact it is, then we could likely make the move prior to. But we'll get a pretty good idea as they're going through the renovation as to whether they're on schedule or not.
A handful of games. You couldn't even guesstimate how many games there
are. Not at this point. In all honesty, I'd have no problem playing as many games here as we had to. Given the history that we have with this site, I think from a marketing perspective and from an interest perspective, what we found is that people are enjoying reminiscing, and yours truly is one of them. And the fact that there's a lot of other people that want to talk about what went on here, I just think it's great. And if we had to be in a temporary facility, there is no better place to be than the old Empire Fields.
Marketing-wise, Bob, how do you tie in, the original fans? How do you guys?
Well, I mean, it actually. I'm going to leave that up to our marketing people. That's not my area of expertise. But what I've found is that we're not even close to starting up just yet. But in terms of now, we finally have it confirmed that this will be the temporary facility. But what we found is that people are calling in and wanting to reminisce. We had a guy call into one of our sales guys when we had our initial MLS on sale and asked about tickets. He said he used to sit on the 35-yard line at the old Empire Stadium, and could he get those seats again at BC Place? And our sales guy asked, well, are you coming to games now? He said, no, I haven't been to a game since. So it's an awakening, it's a renaissance, and people love nostalgia, and this site certainly provides all of that.
Do you worry, though, that people might sort of like this a little bit too much? I mean, that was the thing that really hurt the Whitecaps was going into the Old Dome. This place was packed, and people really had an affinity, dressing for the weather, enjoying the view, all that sort of stuff.
Well, we can provide that at the newly renovated BC Place. I'm excited about this, but I'm more excited about what we're going to be able to enjoy at the renovated BC Place Stadium. Pavco have gone a long way to addressing all of the needs that we felt were important to make sure that was a soccer-specific venue, and they've done that. So it's like Christmas. We've got this to look forward to. We've got BC Place to look forward to. I think it's going to be a very, very exciting year and a half in the build-up to MLS. And the one thing about MLS is it has staying power. Unlike the NASL that where I refer to it as lightning in a bottle. It came and it went within a 10-year span. MLS is here to stay. They're doing all the right things and venues and you need just look down the road at the Seattle Sounders and the excitement that's been generated in that city, and look at what's happening in Toronto. The same is going to happen here in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm. And we're not going to see any of this year's team play any games here. It's just going to be
no.
MLS.
Our intent is to make, when we open up here for the start of MLS in 2011, people are going to be wowed by everything that's taking place. So we would only play a game here if we were assured of the fact that we could do it in a way that would mirror what we want to do at the start of 2011. So, and that's a possibility. We might play an international friendly, but the fact that it's a World Cup year is going to make that a little more difficult.
And Waterfront Stadium's done now, I guess, is it?
Waterfront Stadium is something we're not discussing. Yeah. We discussed that enough, and we're excited about this and with BC Place as well. Okay.
Bob, how does it affect your business model in terms of going from here back to the Dome?
Well, one of the things that we're fortunate with is that the seating configuration for here, without the bench seating, is around 21,000. And what we're looking at BC Place for our soccer-specific configuration is around 21,000 seats. So we're working with in and around the same numbers approximately.
What happens if the demand exceeds what you can provide?
That would be a pleasant problem to have, and that's something, quite frankly, we're anticipating. Given the interest in our initial on sale, there's no doubt that there's an appetite for MLS and where we're going. So we can deal with that when we get to it, but that'll be one of the more pleasant problems that I've had to deal with.
They're going to bring the field turf over here. Does that limit the possibilities of bringing international friendlies here?
Well, that's not something that the field turf is for the Lions in 2010. For us, that's something that still needs to be discussed because MLS have specific requirements of the level of field that you play on, and we're not quite sure whether the current pitch actually meets those needs. So that's something that we're discussing with Pavco.
When do you expect a decision to be made on that?
On the actual playing surface?
Yeah, on the playing surface.
Oh, we've got a bit of time on that one, so because we won't be playing here in 2010, obviously, unless we play a friendly. And if we play a friendly, we would actually entertain perhaps putting grass in. But we've got a lot on the go, so we need to be very careful that we don't try and do too much too soon.
How many games will be played in the